Amid the clinking glasses in Chicago's Sapphire Glow restaurant, Sarah, a waitress, is humiliated by Ethan, the son of millionaire William Carver. His cold, mocking words sting before the crowd. His arrogant smile cuts like a knife into her pride. But just a minute later, Ethan kneels in apology, not for Sarah's sake, but for the harsh lesson from his father. The dazzling city hides wounds of pride and regret. Can Ethan redeem his mistake? Will Sarah rise above the pain to find light? Discover this gripping tale. Don't forget to hit subscribe to 30 Millionaire Stories. Follow emotional journeys of millionaires and waitresses.
Chicago at night glitters like a canvas of light. Skyscrapers cast shadows on the river, weaving a symphony of color and ambition. But in the Sapphire Glow restaurant, Sarah's heart pounds, trapped in an invisible iron cage. She, a 22-year-old waitress, glides past tables draped in red velvet. Her tray of cocktails trembles under the glow of lavish chandeliers. Her eyes, always lowered to avoid the gazes of the elite, now can't hide her unease. Elegant laughter mingles with the clink of glasses echoing through the room. But to Sarah, they're merely a veneer masking the cruelty of the world she must endure. She's used to being invisible, a silent shadow among powerful guests who see her as part of the scenery, present but unworthy of notice. Tonight, the air in Sapphire Glow feels heavier, as if the room itself is watching her. As she approaches a corner table, a chilling gaze stops her, like a blade grazing her skin. Ethan Carver, son of millionaire William Carver, sits there. His perfectly groomed hair and smirking smile radiate unmasked arrogance. His eyes lock onto her, not with curiosity, but with intent to wound. "Hey, sweetheart, try a real smile," Ethan says loudly. His mocking voice cuts through the gentle jazz. "This job must be miserable, huh?" Laughter erupts from his friends, a wave drowning Sarah in humiliation. Eyes from other tables turn, curious, judging, as if she's an animal dragged out for sport. Her face burns. Blood rushes to her cheeks. The cocktail tray trembles, glasses clinking softly. She wants to scream, to hurl the tray to the floor and run, fleeing this world of fake smiles and venomous words. But her sister Sophie's image flashes vividly. Her bright eyes, her trusting smile. Sophie, waiting for Sarah to bring home money for rent, to keep them from Chicago's dark corners. That image holds Sarah still, though her heart feels crushed. "I'm sorry if the service isn't to your liking," she whispers. Her voice chokes, each word tearing from her throat. She bows her head, hiding stinging eyes, trying not to shatter under Ethan's gaze. His smile sharpens, as if her vulnerability is a victory. His friend's laughter continues, each chuckle a blade slicing her pride, leaving invisible but deep wounds. Sarah stands there, silent, feeling the room shrink. It's just her and the humiliation clinging to every breath. Then, like a bolt piercing the night, a deep, commanding voice rings from the entrance. "That's enough, Ethan." William Carver, Ethan's father, stands there. His tall frame and eyes, sharp as swords, aim not at Sarah, but at his son. The crowd falls silent. Laughter dies, as if someone hit pause on the music. Sarah is stunned. Her chest suddenly lightens, as if an invisible weight lifts. But the humiliation lingers, a shadow refusing to leave, seeping into her soul's corners. She glances at William, seeing disappointment in his eyes. Not just for Ethan, but for this world, one he built but can't control. William strides forward, each step a declaration. Ethan, still smug, doesn't dare retort. Sarah stands there, tray still trembling. She feels pulled from drowning waters, yet unable to fully breathe. She knows William only as a name in headlines, but his glance, though brief, carries a recognition she rarely receives. It doesn't erase Ethan's words, doesn't heal her heart's wounds, but it's a spark, enough to straighten her spine a fraction. She returns to the bar, her steps are heavy, as if each one fights a storm of emotions within. Sophie's image resurfaces, her smile a small flame urging Sarah on. But beneath it, a gnawing question lingers. Can she keep living like this forever? Invisible, vulnerable, in a merciless world? Chicago still sparkles outside, but in Sarah's heart, a smoldering fire begins to burn. Not anger, but a vague yearning, a desire to be someone, not just a shadow among cocktails. The morning after, Ethan wakes in his lavish Gold Coast penthouse, but the familiar space now feels alien, like a cold tomb imprisoning him. Once a symbol of invincibility, glass walls overlooking Lake Michigan, plush leather furnishings, the faint scent of expensive cologne lingering in the air, the apartment now seems to turn its back on him. Last night at Sapphire Glow, his father William Carver's words echo like a verdict. "You'll learn to live on your own." His voice was ice, merciless, and with it, all financial support vanished. No trust fund, no credit cards, not even this penthouse where Ethan crafted his image. He sits on the sofa, phone in hand. The screen shows his account balance, a stark zero, a slap to his pride. His heart sinks, not from fear but from an unfamiliar emptiness. For 25 years, he lived like a king, every step cushioned by his father's wealth, every smile bought with family power. But now, gazing at the city through the glass, Chicago is no longer his playground. It's a vast, ruthless maze, and he doesn't know who he is. He leaves the penthouse, stepping onto streets once his domain. Wind from Lake Michigan bites, cold, reminding him of the fragility of his former status. Old friends who once clapped his shoulder at lavish parties now turn away. Their phones go unanswered. Eyes that once revered him now offer only indifference, as if he never existed. He stops at a small Wicker Park cafe. The aroma of roasted coffee blends with soft indie music. The coffee before him grows cold, its steam fading, like what he once called life. He stares at it, wondering, without his father's money, without fame, without the glossy veneer, who is he? A failure, a shadow of himself, or just a lost boy in an unforgiving city? Miles away, Sarah steps into Sapphire Glow. Her feet ache from a long night shift. The chandeliers still gleam, but the restaurant feels heavier, as if last night's gazes still cling to her. Ethan Carver's mockery, "Try a real smile," echoes in her mind, each word a needle piercing her pride. She glides past velvet-draped tables, her tray steadier than last night, but her heart still trembles. Tonight's guests are no different. Polite smiles masking judgment, glances passing over her as if she doesn't exist. She's used to being invisible, but this time it hurts more, like a wound reopened. Deep within, a small, fragile spark flickers, refusing to die. William Carver's words, "That's enough, Ethan," weren't just protection. They were acknowledgement, rare in this world. She doesn't know why he spoke up, what he saw in her, a 22-year-old waitress with rough hands and unformed dreams. But his action stirs a question she's avoided. Could someone truly see her worth? Not the waitress, not the silent shadow among cocktails, but Sarah, the girl who gave up college dreams for her sister, who still believes life can be better. She stands behind the bar, wiping a glass, her movement slow, anchoring her against swirling thoughts. Sophie's image rises, her radiant smile, her hugs each night when Sarah returns to their small Pilsen apartment. Sophie is why Sarah didn't collapse last night, why she stands here despite every guest's glance reminding her of her place. But William's brief words planted a seed. It doesn't erase the humiliation, doesn't heal invisible scars, but it offers a glimmer of hope that maybe, somewhere, she's more than a name on a payroll. Chicago churns outside, relentless, indifferent to struggling hearts. Ethan, in the Wicker Park Cafe, grips his cold coffee. The world feels turned against him. Sarah, in Sapphire Glow, wipes glasses with trembling hands, carrying a small flame not yet ablaze. Two souls, at opposite ends of the city, forced to face themselves. Ethan, stripped of his gilded shell, must define who he is. Sarah, pushed into darkness, begins to wonder if she can step into light. The city sparkles, but beneath its glow, both stand at a crossroads of fate, with no shortcuts. Days later, Sarah's heart pounds as if it might burst as she steps into Sapphire Glow. A staff member tells her she's been summoned to the manager's office. Fear instantly grips her. The memory of that night, Ethan Carver's mocking laughter, the crowd's judging stares, flashes vividly. She's certain this is a reprimand, a warning for letting the incident with Ethan disrupt the restaurant's atmosphere. Each step down the hallway feels like walking a tightrope, teetering between hope and despair. But when the door opens, it's not the manager's stern face. It's William Carver, seated calmly, his eyes warm like a ray of light through fog. Sarah freezes. Her breath catches in her throat. The most powerful man in Chicago who silenced Sapphire Glow with a single sentence now looks at her with rare acknowledgement. "Sarah," he says, his voice deep and sincere, "I've seen how you work, your resilience. I want to offer you a position at my company." Time seems to stop. Sarah is stunned, unable to believe her ears. An office job, a chance to escape exhausting shifts, endless nights trudging back to her small Pilsen apartment with aching feet. A chance to give Sophie, her sister, a better life. Sophie, who believes her sister is a superhero. But as joy sparks, fear slithers through her mind like a venomous snake. William's world, sleek boardrooms, million-dollar decisions, is an alien universe. She's just a waitress with rough hands and dreams shelved to raise her sister. Is she strong enough to step into that world? Is she good enough not to let Sophie down? "Why me?" she asks, her voice trembling, as if fearing the answer might shatter her fragile hope. She lowers her head, unable to meet William's gaze, but feels his eyes patient and genuine. William smiles, a gentle smile brimming with trust. "Because you have something money can't buy. Grit." His words are a breeze, clearing the fog in her mind, leaving a clear spark. Sarah leaves the office, clutching William's business card like a talisman. But her mind churns, hope and anxiety intertwine like rivers flowing together, never merging. She wants to believe she's worthy, yet doubt clings, whispering she doesn't belong in that world. Meanwhile, Ethan Carver stands before a mirror in a cramped rented apartment, pulling on a cheap delivery driver's uniform. Its dull green mocks his fate. Days ago, he drove sports cars, spent money like water, surrounded by admiring eyes. Now, he steers a rickety van, stacked with packages, each delivery a knife to his pride. Every package he leaves at a stranger's door is a bitter admission. He's no longer Ethan Carver, the rich heir. The streets he once ruled now regard him with alien eyes, as if he never belonged. He parks at a street corner. An emptiness gnaws at his chest. For 25 years, he believed money and status defined him. But now, with them gone, he's a shadow, unsure of who he is. Yet amid the humiliation, a new feeling creeps in. A small, nagging spark he can't ignore. Each delivery, though a blow to his ego, is a tiny step toward understanding. Life isn't as easy as he thought. It's a battle, and for the first time, he must fight it himself. Sarah, gripping William's card, carries a new dream laced with fear. She steps out of Sapphire Glow. Her heart pounds, torn between longing and uncertainty. She thinks of Sophie, of nights her sister hugged her, calling her the strongest. But deep down, she wonders if she's brave enough to seize this chance, or if it's another dream life will crush. Ethan, in his creaky van, clutches the steering wheel. Reality's weight presses his shoulders. He's no longer the pampered heir, but for the first time he feels a flicker of hope, that he might build something, however small. Two souls at opposite ends of the city thrust into unexpected crossroads. Sarah, with a chance to change her life, stands before a door to light, unsure if she's strong enough to cross. Ethan, having lost everything, begins learning to rise from ashes, each step a challenge. In their hearts, small flames smolder, not yet ablaze, but enough to keep them moving forward into a journey fraught with uncertainty. One rainy afternoon in the Loop, Ethan huddles under an awning. His soaked delivery driver's uniform clings to him, his heart as heavy as the gray sky above. The final package of the day rests in his hand, but each step he takes reminds him of who he was, a spoiled heir who spent money like water, now just a shadow struggling to survive. As he nears a gleaming high-rise where his father William Carver's office claims the top floor, a familiar figure stops him cold. Sarah steps out holding a folder, her demeanor confident yet unassuming, like someone who's found her place. Ethan's heart pounds, not from surprise, but from a wave of shame, pulling him back to that night at Sapphire Glow when his mockery wounded her. He calls her name, his voice hesitant, as if afraid its sound might shatter the moment. "What are you doing here?" he asks, trying to sound calm. But the tremor in his words betrays him. Standing before her in his wrinkled uniform, he feels small, like a child stripped of his arrogant facade. Sarah turns. Her eyes flicker with surprise, but not the gloating or contempt he feared. She looks at him, her gaze clear yet piercing, as if seeing through the mask he's trying to wear. "Your father gave me a job," she replies, her voice steady, not boasting, just stating a fact. Her words cut like a knife, not because she spoke them, but because of what they stir in Ethan. A flare of jealousy ignites, hot and bitter, as if she's taken something meant for him. But as quickly as it rises, it's doused by a heavier wave of guilt, more painful than anything he's known. Sarah, the girl he mocked, stands here, poised and deserving, while he's a failure, blaming fate. "You're just using him, aren't you?" he blurts out, the words escaping before he can stop them, sharp and petty. But the moment they land, regret consumes him. Sarah's face tightens briefly. A flash of hurt crosses her eyes, but it's swiftly replaced by resolve, like an unquenchable flame. She steps back, not out of fear, but to shield herself from his fleeting cruelty, to maintain her dignity. "I didn't ask for anything, Ethan," she says, her voice slow but sharp, like a blade cutting through the fog of his arrogance. "I work to survive, to care for my sister. What about you? Who are you going to blame next?" Her words are a mirror, reflecting his pettiness, forcing him to face his true self, a man who thrived in his father's glow, now lost when that light is gone. Each word is a dagger, not to wound, but to awaken, to pull him from the pit he dug himself. Ethan lowers his head, his hands clutch the package, the world's weight pressing his shoulders. "I'm sorry," he whispers, his voice so soft it's nearly swallowed by the rain. He doesn't dare meet her eyes, fearing they'll confirm his failure. But when he looks up, Sarah nods. Her gaze softens, not with pity, but with an understanding he hasn't earned. "Keep trying, Ethan," she says, her voice gentle, yet firm. "That's the only thing that matters." She turns away, her steps steady. Her small but resilient figure fades into the crowd. Ethan stands there, rain soaking through his uniform, cold, but unable to douse the spark flaring within him. His apology, though small, is the first step he's taken on his own, without money or status. But Sarah's words, like a gust of wind, have kindled a new resolve. He's no longer the Ethan Carver of lavish parties. But perhaps, for the first time, he can become someone else, someone who builds his own worth. Sarah, meanwhile, grips her folder tightly. Her heart races, not from Ethan's words, but from their weight. She stood her ground, not to retaliate, but to affirm herself. Yet deep down, Ethan's bitter remark, however brief, stirs the doubts lurking within. Does she truly belong in this new world? She thinks of Sophie, of her sister's radiant smile, and tells herself she's doing this not just for her, but for herself, for the girl once invisible among cocktails, now learning to step into the light. Both Ethan and Sarah stand at their own crossroads. Ethan, in the rain, feels the weight of truth and a fragile spark of hope. Sarah, with her folder in hand, carries dreams and fears, but refuses to stop. They don't know fate has tethered them, not as enemies, but as two souls seeking to redefine themselves, one step at a time, in an unforgiving world. At William Carver's grand corporate event, the weight of responsibility rests on Sarah's shoulders. She steps onto the stage, her heart pounds as if it might burst, her sleek black suit replacing the apron that once defined her days at Sapphire Glow. Now, at 22, she's tasked with introducing the keynote speaker, a role she never dared dream of months ago. The crowd before her, powerful executives, faces familiar from financial reports, watches, waiting. She takes a deep breath. Her steady voice rings out, introducing William Carver. Applause surges through the room like a wave. But beneath her confident exterior, a current of doubt whispers, she doesn't belong in this world. She's just a waitress playing a part. Sarah stands there. Her gaze sweeps the crowd, suppressing a tide of emotions. Each word she speaks is a triumph, a testament to overcoming grueling shifts, judging stares, and Ethan Carver's cruel mockery. Sophie's image, her sister's radiant smile, flickers in her mind. the flame keeping her grounded, yet a part of her fears this light is fleeting, that she'll soon be pulled back into darkness.
In a corner of the room, Ethan stands quietly, working logistics. His simple suit replaces the delivery uniform that once shamed him. He watches Sarah. Her voice is smooth yet powerful, like an unstoppable breeze. Admiration wells up, laced with shame. He recalls that night at Sapphire Glow when his vicious words hurt her, and that rainy afternoon in the Loop when she forced him to face his pettiness. Sarah, with her quiet resilience, has become a mirror he can't ignore. But seeing her shine, he feels a void within, a gnawing question. Can he ever atone for his wrongs? William Carver takes the stage. His presence commands without ostentation, his speech captivating. But then he pauses. His gaze finds Sarah. "I want to honor someone special," he says, his voice resounding. "Sarah. She's proof of resilience and talent." Applause erupts, but Sarah stands frozen, her face flushed, her heart near bursting. William's praise is a gift she never dared imagine. Yet it's heavy, like a cloak too large. She feels the eyes of hundreds, admiring, scrutinizing, and a wave of emotions surges. Pride tangled with fear that she'll fall short of expectations. Then, unexpectedly, Ethan steps onto the stage, microphone in hand. His eyes are resolute, yet trembling. The crowd falls silent. The air thickens. Sarah looks at him. Her heart races, not from anger, but from a premonition that this moment will change everything. Ethan takes a deep breath. His voice quavers but rings clear. "Sarah, I humiliated you in front of everyone," he says. Each word tears from his soul. "I was wrong. You taught me what real strength is. I'm sorry, and I hope you'll forgive me." The room holds its breath, the silence deafening. Sarah stands there. Tears glisten, not from pain but from an odd relief. Ethan's apology, public and sincere, bridges old wounds. She steps forward. Her eyes are gentle yet strong. "I forgive you, Ethan," she says. Her voice is warm, a promise not just to him, but to herself. Applause explodes, like a storm sweeping away doubts, leaving a fragile but genuine connection between two once opposing souls. William looks at Ethan. A rare pride flickers in his eyes. For the first time, he sees his son not as his shadow, but as a man ready to rise from mistakes. Ethan feels his father's gaze. His chest lightens, as if an invisible burden lifts. He's no longer the arrogant heir, but for the first time, he feels worthy, not for wealth, but for his actions. Sarah, back at her post, wipes a tear. Her heart beats fiercely, but fear is gone. She thinks of Sophie, of dreams she once shelved, and realizes she's living not just for her sister, but for herself. The girl once invisible, now finding her light. Ethan, retreating to the corner, feels a new flame within, not blazing, but steady, urging him onward. They, two souls once defined by circumstance, now stand at a new crossroads. Courage and forgiveness have opened a path unseen before. The story of Ethan and Sarah proves that pride can be humbled by modesty. Forgiveness can heal deep wounds. Ethan, once a spoiled heir, learned respect through hard days and a heartfelt apology. Sarah, a resilient waitress, found her worth through an unexpected opportunity and trust from others. Life is a journey of mistakes and redemption, but it's our efforts that shape who we are. Let this story inspire you, that anyone can change. The courage to apologize is true strength. Dear American audience, if Ethan and Sarah's journey moves you, hit subscribe to 30 Millionaire Stories. Share this tale and leave a comment with your thoughts. Together, let's spread stories that touch the heart.